to get my back blown out in peace. You think I got time to talk about a divorce that's a year old?
From the moment the story begins, nothing feels normal anymore. It starts like a moment you'd expect to see in a movie, the kind where everything looks calm on the surface, but you can feel something in the air that makes your heart beat just a little faster. And for Teyana Taylor, that feeling didn't show up out of nowhere. It came from days, even weeks, of small moments she tried to ignore, the late-night phone vibrations, the sudden change in her husband Iman's attitude, the way he'd avoid her eyes when she asked simple questions. All of it felt wrong, but she kept trying to convince herself it was nothing, because that's what you do when you want to believe the person you love is still the same person you build a life with. But some truths don't stay hidden forever. And the day everything fell apart started out like it was supposed to be peaceful. Teyana had just come home earlier than expected, thinking she'd surprise Iman with lunch and maybe spend the afternoon together. She wasn't expecting chaos. She wasn't expecting heartbreak. And she definitely wasn't expecting her world to shatter in a single moment that would replay in her head forever. When she walked into the house, she immediately noticed something strange. The lights were dim, which wasn't unusual, but the silence felt heavier than normal. She called out for Iman, expecting to hear his voice echo back down the hallway, but there was nothing. Just this uncomfortable stillness that made the hairs on her arms rise. She took a few slow steps deeper into the house, trying to shake off the feeling, but the closer she got to the bedroom, the more her heart started pounding. She didn't know why. She didn't have proof of anything yet, but something inside her already knew. And when she reached the door, that feeling transformed into something sharp, something cold. She heard voices, low, soft, and absolutely not what she wanted to hear. They weren't talking. It was quiet, but the kind of quiet that told her she was seconds away from discovering something she would never forget. She pushed the door open just a crack, and that one small movement was all it took for her entire world to collapse. The sight on the other side didn't make sense at first. Her brain couldn't process it. It was like she was watching strangers, not the two people she knew, her husband and her own cousin. Her own blood. Her own family. The people she trusted most were tangled together in a moment that stabbed her chest like a knife. She froze. She couldn't breathe. It was the kind of shock that hits so hard your body doesn't even know how to react. For a few seconds, she felt nothing but emptiness, like her heart stepped out of her body. Then everything came rushing in at once. Her hands started shaking. Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. She pushed the door wider, and the sound of it swinging open made both of them jump. Iman panicked first, scrambling to grab anything to cover himself, while her cousin stared at her like she'd seen a ghost. The guilt on her cousin's face said everything. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't the first time. Teyana didn't even need to ask. She could see it in their eyes. Iman tried to speak, but the words sounded useless. Broken sentences. Excuses he knew wouldn't work. He tried stepping toward her, reaching out, but she stepped back like his touch burned. Her cousin didn't say a word. She just sat there, shaking, exposed for who she really was. Teyana could feel her heart ripping apart in real time, and every breath felt harder than the last. She didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. She didn't collapse. She just stood there, fighting back tears until they finally spilled over. And when she spoke, her voice was quiet, but the pain in it was louder than any shout could ever be. She asked them why, a simple question, but neither of them had a real answer. And the silence that followed hurt even more than the betrayal itself. Teyana turned away before she completely broke. She grabbed her bag, walked out of the house, slammed the door, and didn't look back. But once she got in the car, everything she'd been holding inside came pouring out. She cried until she couldn't cry anymore. The betrayal wasn't just from her husband. It was from her own bloodline, her cousin, someone she trusted to be around her children, someone she thought loved her, was part of the destruction of her marriage. And the cruelest part? Deep down, Teyana had always sensed her cousin had a strange jealousy toward her. Little comments she brushed off, side glances she ignored. And now it all made sense in the worst possible way. As the story spread among the family, the reactions were explosive. Some of her relatives were furious at her cousin, calling her out, saying she crossed every boundary imaginable. Others tried to make excuses, saying maybe it was a mistake, or maybe emotions got complicated. But none of that made Teyana feel better. None of that erased the image burned into her memory. Meanwhile, Iman was spiraling. He knew what he did wasn't something he could fix with a simple apology. He tried calling. He tried texting. He tried begging. But Teyana ignored all of it. She shut him out because she needed to breathe, and she needed to survive the heartbreak. When you love someone deeply, their betrayal hits in a place you didn't even know existed. And the worst part? This wasn't just a cheating scandal. It was a betrayal that broke two different relationships at the same time. Her marriage and her family bond. While Teyana hid away, trying to process everything, the internet started picking up pieces of the story. Rumors were everywhere. People were choosing sides. Some fans blamed Iman, some blamed the cousin, some blamed both. And Teyana's silence only made everyone wonder how deep the situation really went. But she wasn't silent because she wanted mystery. She was silent because she was in pain. Real pain. The kind of pain that makes you question everything, your choices, your life, even your worth. But even in heartbreak, Teyana isn't the type to stay down forever. Slowly, she started letting a few close friends in. They sat with her, cried with her, held her up when she felt like falling apart. They reminded her of the woman she truly is, strong, resilient, talented, and deserving of real loyalty. And as the days passed, the anger replaced the emptiness. She knew she had to face the situation head-on when she finally talked to Iman. The conversation wasn't loud, but it was heavy. He tried to explain himself again, using every excuse he could think of: bad decisions, confusion, emotional distance. But she didn't want excuses. She wanted honesty and she wanted accountability. And when she asked him how long it had been going on, his hesitation gave her all the answers she needed. It wasn't a one-time thing. It was months of secrets, months of lies, months of disrespect. Her cousin avoided her completely, knowing there was nothing she could say that would undo the damage. Her family started distancing themselves from the cousin too because they knew she'd crossed a line she could never step back from. The aftermath only got crazier when public drama started spilling out. People who claimed to know her cousin began dropping details about her past behavior, saying this wasn't the first time she'd inserted herself in other people's relationships, screenshots, messages, old flings. Everything came out. And for Teyana, it was like watching shockwaves shoot through her entire life. Every piece of information added more weight to her already broken heart. But as messy as things got, Teyana found something surprising in the middle of the chaos: clarity. For the first time in a long time, she started putting herself first. She focused on healing. She focused on her kids. She focused on rebuilding her confidence. She remembered who she was before the betrayal tried to tear her down. And with healing came strength. She started showing up again at events, on social media, in her work. And every time people saw her smile or post something uplifting, they knew she was fighting her way back. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't performing. She was surviving. At the same time, a man kept trying to fix what he destroyed. But no matter how many times he apologized, no matter how much he begged, Teyana wasn't ready to let him back into her heart. Some wounds are so deep they change you. And this one changed her for good. The situation reached another breaking point when one of Teyana's closest friends confronted Iman directly. It wasn't violent, but it was emotional. They accused him of throwing away the best thing that ever happened to him. They told him he broke a family, not just a relationship. And the words hit him harder than he expected because he knew they were right. As for her cousin, she became an outcast in family, online, everywhere. The backlash was brutal, but she brought it on herself. Betrayal always comes with consequences, and she experienced all of them. Then came the moment that shocked everyone. Teyana shared a message, not naming names, but clearly talking about the situation. She wrote about betrayal from people closest to you. She wrote about pain turning into strength. She wrote about rising from the ashes. And fans immediately knew the healing process had begun, but healing doesn't erase the memories. It doesn't delete the hurt. It just makes you stronger than the things meant to destroy you. And the craziest part, even though this story started with heartbreak, the aftermath showed the world how powerful Teyana truly is. She didn't crumble. She didn't lose herself. She didn't let the betrayal define her. She became even stronger, even braver, even more focused on becoming the best version of herself. And as for Iman, his future remains uncertain. Maybe he'll spend years trying to fix what he broke. Maybe he won't be able to fix it at all. Maybe Teyana will eventually forgive him, or maybe she'll move on completely. But one thing is certain, nothing will ever be the same. Because once you catch someone in a moment that destroys your trust, even if you heal, the scars always remain. And sometimes those scars become the reminder you need to never settle for less than the loyalty you deserve.